Today's lesson deals with reflections, and this is possibly the hardest transformation for most people. So please key in on this topic today. The first topic is center of rotation. Say I have this shape, and maybe it's like a flag. So there's a basic flag. And I want to rotate that flag. Well, I can rotate it about a fixed point, and I can put the point anywhere I want that point. But whenever I do place that point, that becomes my center of rotation. So the center of rotation is the point of which the shape rotates around, or the figure rotates around. Sometimes we'll rotate clockwise, sometimes counterclockwise. You can rotate either direction. We have to be good with different angles of rotation though. So a lot of times we'll practice rotating 90 degrees, 180 degrees. What am I going up by? 90. So the next one will be rotate around 270. These are the common types of rotations you should be able to do. Those are examples of angles of rotation. If I choose to rotate clockwise 90 degrees, here's the process you need to be thinking about in your head. If I consider this bottom part of the pole to here, if I consider this to be a line segment, I want to rotate that line segment 90 degrees. So it'll end up being over there, and that should make a 90-degree angle. That's where the new bottom pole should be. I could then repeat this process for other parts. Maybe I want to rotate this piece 90 degrees. Well, I need to visualize that there's a segment going there. I need the same length coming off at 90 degrees. There's that point rotated 90 degrees. Obviously, I'm just eyeballing this. We'll have some tools that we'll use here shortly, though, to make this even better. Up next, I could rotate this point. That's part of the flag. And so forth. And you would eventually end up generating that flag. And it would look something like this. That's that flag rotated about that point 90 degrees. Every corresponding point should be a 90-degree angle with this center of rotation as the vertex of that 90-degree angle. That's a good concept for you all to be able to get. Now up next, we're going to be practicing this. So it says draw 150 degrees rotation. So this is where we're going to need to use some measuring tools. So what I've done is I've just focused on this triangle and the point. I've also grabbed the tool. I grabbed this protractor. It's helpful to have a ruler as well, but we'll just start off with the basics using a protractor. First thing, if we're rotating 150 degrees, does it say which direction to rotate? No. So right now, we're going to practice, and we'll just go ahead and say 150 degrees clockwise. So I'll just declare it for you. 150 degrees clockwise. So you should remember the clockwise goes around to the right, kind of, if you're going over the top. So that means this picture is going to rotate around this direction 150 degrees. So just like I mentioned earlier, it's really helpful to be able to measure to specific points. So I'm using a ruler in my classroom, and I'm going to be measuring to these points. So the first measurement I need is from P to A, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll write it over here to the side. Now I want to say how long PA is. So measure it on your paper, and you all tell me what it is. On my picture, it's 18 centimeters. What is it on yours? About 2 centimeters. So write that down. So I'm just going to do one at a time. There's my segment PA, and I want to rotate it 150 degrees. Now I'll grab my protractor, and this spot right here is my center on my protractor. I need to line this center with my point P. So I'm going to drag it over. Now, right now, my protractor, it has this little line that can help me, and I can move the protractor around. But the key thing is I need to find 150 degrees. There's 150 on this left side and 150 on this right side. Truthfully, it doesn't really matter which side you use, as long as you realize if I use this 150, I have to use this 0 over here, or if I use this 150, I have to use this 0 over here. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, though. All right, I'm going to go ahead and find 150 degrees. There it is on mine. And you can see this red line denotes that 150 degree angle. So I'm going to align it with that center. And now I want to rotate my protractor until this line aligns with my green little dotted line I've already created. So I can rotate on around. And there it goes. It's lined up with that vertex. My green line was a little off, but there's my vertex that I'm aligned with. And now all I need to do is place a little mark, just a little tick mark saying this new A prime will be out here somewhere. And I'll put A prime just to remind myself. It's going to be out here somewhere. How do I figure out exactly where it is, though? All right, so we already measured here. On my paper it was 18 centimeters. On your paper it was 2 centimeters. So I just want to repeat that measurement now. So I'm going to line my ruler real quick. So my ruler is right along through here. Here's my 18 centimeters. There's my A prime. Now I can erase my A prime little tick mark, and I can erase that dotted line. So I'm just going to do one point at a time. Now I'm going to move over and measure from P to B. Mine's about 11 centimeters. Remember, I want to use this little line and my 150 degree angle. So I'm going to line that back up to 150 degrees. I can align my protractor, center on center. And I need to rotate my protractor just a little to align with vertex B. Now you can see this red line aligns with that vertex. And out to the side, I'll put my little mark, and I'll say B prime is along that line. Once again, I'll get my ruler out, line it up with B prime. It's 11 centimeters, so it's about right there. There's my B prime, and I can erase the other segments. All right, I also found that that P to C is 18 centimeters on my paper. So I'm lined up at the 150 and a 0 over here. I'm lined up, my center's on my center. I got to rotate a little bit to align with my C now. So I'm going to rotate until that red line hits the C. So it's hitting the vertex now. Now I can put a little mark out here for my C prime. I can move my protractor. And now I can just use my ruler. And I'm going to line it up to where that C prime mark is. And line it up with my P. I'll put a dot on the 18. There's my C prime. I'm going to move this B prime a little bit. And connect the dots. And it does give a right angle, so place that right angle on it. So that's what it should look like, rotated 150 degrees. All right, on this next checkpoint, I'm going to give you some hints real quick and trying to improve the process. And the first thing you should realize is whenever you're dealing with quadrants, they label the quadrants 1, 2, 3. So which direction are they labeling, counter or clockwise? Okay, counter. So when it doesn't say, you're supposed to go counter. Now, I will be telling you which direction to go. I will be telling you on the test which direction I want you to go. So when it doesn't say, though, this should make sense why it's counter. The first thing that I would do is I would go through and I would measure these distances. So from the point to each of these distances, I'm going to call this P for right now. So over here to the side, I'm going to say P to H, P to G, and P to J. And everybody should be able to measure these distances no problem. Centimeters is what I would generally do because you can get really accurate. Alright, so I'm temporarily done with my measurements because I've measured from P to H, P to J, and P to G, and I've labeled them out here. I know how far they should be on the new shape as well from that point P. Now it's time for my protractor. On my protractor, I'm going to go ahead and set my angle to 60 degrees. So if I start from 0 here, I'm going to use this 60. And you can see that this red angle would be a 60-degree angle. Now I'm going to align my protractor center with my point P. And now here's a common mistake. People will align over here. They'll align this 0 to maybe H. And they'll use this 60. What kind of rotation is this though? This is clockwise. Going 0 over to 60, that's clockwise rotation. I don't want to rotate that direction. That means I got to rotate my protractor more. And I should be hitting it with this 0 instead. And now you can see if I go from this 0 around to 60, I'm going counterclockwise. So right now I'm aligned with H. So I'm going to put a little dot out here or dash out here for H prime. Now I already have my center aligned, so I just need to rotate my protractor just a little bit more. And let's see if I can do that, if it'll let me rotate. Alright, I'm going to hit J real quick. So now I'm hitting 0 on J. And here's my 60 for J prime. Now I got to rotate my protractor a little bit more to hit G. Now I'm hitting G with my 0, hitting my point on my center, and here's my 60 out here. Here's my G prime. Now I'm done with my protractor. I just need my ruler to finish out. So what I need to do is I need to reproduce these measurements over here along these segments. So right now, these are all the same distance from P. I don't want them to be the same distance from P though. I want them to be these distances. So that's what I use my ruler now. I'm going to say from P to J, well how far should it be? On mine it's 25.5. So I just got to reproduce that measurement now. And so let's see where that ends up. 25.5 will be about here. So I can erase that one and put my J prime over here. P to H prime should be 14 centimeters from P. So I'm going to align my ruler real quick. And that'll end up being about here. So that's my H prime, and I can erase this now. Now I have one left along G. P to G is 27 centimeters on mine. So 27 is about right here. There's my G prime, and now all I need to do is connect my points. And now I'm done. There's my new prime shape, rotated 60 degrees counterclockwise. All right, here we go. On example 2, there are 4 points that you have to graph, and then we're going to rotate them. Now I'm going to teach you a trick that's really helpful for you guys. So first up, go ahead, graph these points. Now since you have paper in your hand, you can rotate it easily. I got to do a little bit of a trick. I want to rotate 270 degrees. So what I'm going to have to do to be able to rotate this board is I'm going to have to take a little picture of this graph. Alright, so this is the orientation you should have right in front of you. But what you need to do right now is you need to think, what does it mean to rotate 270 degrees? Well, what direction is it when it doesn't say? It's counter when it doesn't say. So we want to go around that direction 270 degrees. So that means put your paper in front of yourself, and you need to be able to rotate your paper. Now the key thing is this. If I start rotating, and this y-axis starts here and goes around to here, how far have I rotated? That's 90 degrees to right here. If I continue going around and I end that y-axis all the way around here, how far have I gone all the way around now? That's 180. But if I continue and go all the way around to here, I've now gone 270. So that's what you need to do right now. You need to rotate this y until it ends up over here. And I can do that too. I can grab my paper and I can rotate. I've rotated 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and now I've rotated 270 degrees. So this is how your picture should look right now. Right in front of you, you should have your paper rotated the amount that we just talked about. And your picture should look exactly like this right in front of you. All we're going to do right now is write down the new coordinates. So we have K, L, M, and N. And these are our new points, so they get the prime symbols. And our coordinates always have parentheses, and the points are separated by commas. I'm going to write down the new points in their new location. So if I realize that the K is right 2, down 3, there's my new point for my K prime, 2, negative 3. I want to do the same thing for my L in this new location. It's right 2 and down 4. Sorry, right 2 is positive. Right 2 and down 4. What's my position for my M where it's sitting right now? Start at the origin. I go back 1, 2, 3, left 3 and down 4. Now my new position for my N is left 1, down 2. All I need to do now is rotate my paper back to its original position. So that's one more little rotation back to get my letters in the right orientation. And now I'm going to graph these points back on my graph. So that's really easy. I'll do it in another color. My K prime is 2, negative 3. So over 2, down 3. There's my K prime. My L prime is 2, negative 4. M prime is negative 3, negative 4. And N prime is negative 1, negative 2. Now I connect them. And there's my 270 degree rotation. On this last example, you got to realize which parts correspond to find the values of X and Y. So the first thing you should realize is that it's trying to get you to solve for Y, but this 7Y piece is corresponding to this 3x equals 1. Well, you can't solve with two variables like that. So what we need to do is we need to find this other x first. And this 3x piece corresponds to the 6. That means we can set them equal to each other. So it's going to look like this. 3x equals 6. And we can divide by 2 and we'll get x is 2. Now we can use that value and we can set 3x plus y equal to 7y. Now we can substitute this 2 in for the x. We can do 3 times 2, and we get 6. Now 6 plus 1 is very easy. We get 7. Divide by 7 when we get y is 1. That's it.